Hey everyone, it's Kenji. I'm going to be making a real simple miso soup. So I'm doing this with a kettle. You don't even need a pot of boiling water for this. So start by boiling some water in a kettle. I'm using my Bermuda Moon kettle. Okay, and so miso soup, all it is dashi, you know, the Japanese soup stock, along with some miso and whatever garnishes you want. So I'm going to start by making my dashi base. Normally, I would make this in a pot, and I have another video where I show you how to make like a larger version of this. But right now, I'm making just enough for a couple servings. So I'm going to start by taking kombu, which is this Japanese sea kelp, one of the essential ingredients of dashi. It gives it the kelp, by the way, this is where MSG is purified from, originally purified from. These days, most MSG is made synthetically, although chemically, whether you get it from kelp or whether it's made synthetically, it is chemically identical. All right, so I've cut up some sea kelp, putting it in my tea strainer here. Okay, I'm going to take these, which are niboshi. They're dried anchovies. These you don't really have to do for a dashi, although I like the flavor that they give. They give inosinic acid, which is one of the other things that boosts umami flavor. Then here, this is dried shaved bonito flakes. So it's bonito that's been salted, smoked, fermented, dried, and shaved. So essentially every form of preservation that you can do to a fish has been done to this. It's called katsuobushi in Japanese. You can get it at any Japanese supermarket, or you can get it online. And I'm just going to put the rest of that in my tea strainer here. And that's it. That's going to form the base for the dashi. Then I'm also going to take some miso paste. You can use any kind of miso paste you like. Light miso paste, dark miso paste, red, brown, whatever you like. I'm just using a white miso paste here. I'm going to take maybe 2 tablespoons or so and put it right in there as well. So the miso paste, the reason I put it into the strainer is because miso paste is sometimes a little bit lumpy. It's got little clumps in it. And depending on the brand, it can be quite lumpy. So I like to put it into a strainer so that as the soup is formed, the smaller particles of miso come out, but the big clumps get left behind. All right. And so then also into my teapot, I'm going to put some garnishes. In fact, I'll just put one garnish. I'm doing hijiki seaweed. This is a type of, this really small bits of seaweed. So I'd say about half a teaspoon, or a teaspoon is enough. It grows significantly. So you see how small this is right now. They'll grow as they soak in the water. Hijiki is a seaweed that my mother, when I told her I like putting hijiki in miso soup, she was like, "Why do you do that? That's like that's a food for convalescents," which I don't know if that's true or not, but I like the way it tastes. And I guess I've got kids, and so like I'm sort of continuously convalescing, as it were, because my kids always come home with colds and stomach bugs and all kinds of things like that. So anyhow, hijiki, whether it's for convalescence or not, I like the flavor of it. All right, so I'm also going to slice up a scallion. I'm going to back slice it like this so that I don't crush it. When I say back slice, I mean I'm going to pull my knife kind of backwards through it like that, you see? As I go, as opposed to just going straight up and down, which can crush it. So lots of horizontal motion. That should be enough. All right, so I'll put my post-soup garnishes into my bowl. Okay, got that. Got a little bit of tofu. This is a firm silken tofu that I've just cubed up. You could also do something like really nice in this would be like canned baby clams. Something like mushrooms would be really nice in here too. Any kind of sort of seafood, little bits of fish would be really nice. Cooked vegetables, greens, you know, anything you want to stick into your miso soup base. But I'm going to keep it simple: tofu, scallions, hijiki seaweed. All right, so our water is almost at a boil. All right, so I'll put my strainer in there, and I'll pour my water right in. One of the nice things about dashi is that, you know, unlike a lot of Western stocks made from bones that require sort of long simmering to extract flavor, dashi, because you're making it with ingredients that are sort of so thin and very easily give up their flavor compounds, it's almost like, well, it's just like steeping tea, so we can make it in a tea strainer. All right. And I'm going to close that, and I'll let it sit for about 5 minutes. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. All right, so our broth should be steeped by now. You know, dashi has like a sort of, you know, a real deep umami flavor, a little bit of smokiness, but it's got the MSG from the sea kelp, and then it's also got sodium inosinate from the anchovies and from the skipjack, and all those compounds kind of complement each other and bolster each other. They're like, you know, like the Batman and Robin of umami. They're the umami duo. All right. So I'm going to push out as much of that miso as possible. So you can see what's left behind is this kind of gritty bits of the miso that you don't really want. I mean, it's not harmful to have them in your soup, obviously, but the texture of the soup will be better without them. And then I'm just going to push out just like I would tea, like push out whatever's left in the strainer there. Let me taste what I got here. It might need a little bit of salt. Yeah, let's add a little pinch of salt and a little pinch of MSG. This is my salt MSG blend here. All right. And into our bowl we go. And that's how you make a real simple miso soup for just a couple people with nothing but a kettle and a tea strainer. Delicious. I can feel myself convalescing already. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals, see you later.